through high school, took all the art classes I could, went into art school, determined to study art, went through art school off and on for 7 years, and have been showing in galleries for the past 6 years. You know, to be quite honest, I don't think I reflected anything in my paintings. I wasn't against lots of meaning, but I didn't feel it was important in my work. It was more mechanical for me. It was a matter of composition, it was a matter of color, it was a matter of push-pull with a negative space, the way the image relates to your eye, not to your heart. I think that that was reflective of my view of God, because my view of God was also mechanical. I grew up feeling that if I meditated, if I calmed myself, if I achieved a certain sense of zen, for lack of a better term, that would bring me closer to God. Salvation was an inherent right, not a gift. Something to be sought after, not accepted. Something I could dig deeper for rather than search outside of me for. Christ was more of a role model, a teacher, rather than a personal savior. You know, coming from a standpoint where I felt that God was inherently in me, with or without my wanting Him to be, I felt that it should have been a little bit more prominent in my life. I should have been able to see that fruit, if not more frequently, at least more powerfully when it was there. If He's so much there, then how come I have to search so hard? If there's this huge source of love, how come it's Him? I met my wife Amanda in art school. I fell immediately in love. Within 8 months we were married. We were both fairly rebellious, but she came from a Christian family and began to miss going to church. I was very hesitant at first, but you know, I couldn't be away from her, so I followed. Somehow John Farkas found out I was going to fellowship and asked me out to lunch. We started talking about who I was, where I was, and through that discussion, he approached me about studying the book of John by painting it, which was an interesting concept for me. Out of the New Testament, it was probably my least favorite book. It was very sharp, it was very cut and dry at times. To be honest, it didn't fit in with my feelings of God, in the sense that if you don't do it this way, it's not gonna happen. The deeper I got into the book, the deeper I got into painting, that was the first time I realized that God was going to be using this as a tool that I couldn't begin to understand. There's a painting in the series called Two Buckets, and it's of a man walking down a wooded hill to a well. I was in my studio at 2 o'clock in the morning, painting this painting, and I realized that I had painted these buckets full. And immediately I thought, well, who walks to a well to pour water in? And that's when I realized that that's what I was doing. I had come to this church, I had come through these paintings, I had come through my life telling God who He was and how He was supposed to fit into my life. So of course immediately I painted over the water in the buckets, I emptied the buckets, and that's when I became a Christian. I realized at that point that that's how I was to be filled. I had to get rid of what I had filled myself with to allow God to fill that void. I had to be emptied to be able to accept fresh water. The painting Two Buckets is specifically about the Samaritan woman coming to the well. This is a time when Christ drew this woman into a conversation that made her realize that it wasn't what mountain you prayed on. It wasn't how you walked or how you ate or any of that. It was solely to come to Christ, to believe. And I don't understand why I never got that before, but I know I get it now. At the end of every service, Lloyd or Jeff says, "These things were written so that we might believe." And I have come to realize that I was to paint these things so that I might believe. It's something that hit me, as I've said before, like a 2x4 in the back of the head. I didn't see it coming. It knocked out who I was to lay the path for who I can be. I found belief while painting the book of John.